they have succeeded with so far.
All right, Cube has played Chet twice already, undefeated at Worlds on that champion, and for the 7th time here at Worlds, 957 will get Cho'Gath. He's currently 5-1, this being game number 7. Let's see what Shea is going to run in the mid lane. We're going to see a little bit of a safer pick. This composition, if it gets locked in, a lot of versatility. There is some engage, some disengage, there's some tools that WE can flex.
It's a very solid wave clear as well to potentially rotate Mystic through if they can get the early turret blood bot lane. Talia still available. Let's have that early push onto the Orianna. It's a good wave clear on both sides here. 2v2. Definitely gonna have a pushing lane for WE now that it's confirmed to be the Karma and the stuff.
Yeah, so much of this game will be about the early push and who can start that turret snowball. We have seen 2 very fast games in games 1 and 2 with the Nexus falling before 30 minutes. The Karma and the Ori and the Cho'Gath are all wave clear picks right there. Yeah. And then look for some invading jungle from Conde.
You heard a bit of a gasp around the crowd when the Orianna was locked in for Sheer. Actually has no games on it in summer season at all, so not a core tenet of his champion pool. So interesting to see a new pick come in for him, at least in terms of the recent history, right here in Game 3 of the World Semi-Final.
It's insane to think of Orianna as a new pick for any mid laner, but that's the case we have for Sheer right now, and I think a lot of it was a denial pick away from Crown. They were a little bit worried about the Shen, Gragas, Ori kind of delivery system combo they could get with the Orianna, and it hasn't been a super meta pick so far. They have to pick it away.
I mean, for such a staple of champion pools in the mid lane, 1 game in 2017, a victory, a happy point, but a surprise to the fans and to us.
And of course, it was something that featured in the ban pool, but it was WE banning it earlier in the series. So let's see how Shea can perform. We look at some of his stats. Definitely a player that his story is not told through statistics, and that Orianna can make or break mid to late game team fights as we play out game number 3 here in the 2nd semi-final of Worlds. Team WE, the last LPL team standing, the 3rd seed from the region, 18-19. They've played 20 games already at Worlds, this being number 21. And they want to keep that streak alive, and EA set themselves up for the China versus Korea matchup, but this time in Beijing in Bird's Nest.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially with the way this series is going, Ben is going to have to perform in a big way. He got to play Janna 9 times previously between playing and now, never lost with it, but they had 2 support bans on Ben, and he hasn't looked good when pushed off his core champions.
Samsung's download includes also stopping there from being an early topside invade like there was in game 1. Remember, WE invaded Samsung's red side, put down wards, then re-invaded their own red and picked up first blood. Samsung were not interested in that particular hijinks being recreated in game 3.
Yeah, not this time around. And of course, game 1, the early kill, setting WE up and setting Ambition behind. Game 2, Ambition shows up and picks up that great kill. Really starting well, dropping the Demacian standard on top of Crown's head, but I want to keep my eyes on Ambition, see how he shows up. We've talked about group stage Ambition and quarterfinals Ambition. Now it's game 1 and game 2 Ambition, and we'll see which is going to show up in game 3.
Yeah, and I wonder if level 2 ganks are a possibility. That's a pretty aggressive gank pattern, or trade pattern we saw in the mid lane. You all very rarely want to actually trade with the Talia level 1, because the Talia will outtrade you, but she went for that aggressively. Could be for the threat of the level 2 Jarvan.
I think also it was for getting this very deep warded onto the Raptors to stop there being a super leash of sorts. It's a mid lane leash. By Ambition starting top side. Little cheeky stun coming through as Condi's actually joining them here.
I'm Richard Graves. This boy is
Isaiah Miller, President Graves' assistant.
President? Oh, that's right. I kind of thought you were dead.
I can't do this puppet show anymore.
Let's look left and right.
I'm not a goddamn 4-year-old.
Asshole! Former president!
You're slipping out today. Afternoon, everybody. Dan, do the thing. Free yourselves and so.
Well, JJ will spot it out.
What does that mean?
They didn't ping him, so that means they didn't spot him in that tri-brush.
Does mean the only pathway straight through lane, and Condi is not spotted going to Ambition's blue buff.
All right, very cheeky. Ambition's made his way north.
Crown might get a ward on it, though. They're really on top of things. He does. That's really smart prepping. Now they can collapse on him. I don't know why Condi's sticking around.
All right, Condi's now going to make it away with his life. Level 2 gets the knock-up, gets a good chunk of damage down onto Crown. Forced to run for his life. No movement yet from Xie. Xie was stuck in the middle lane, has finally moved flash for flash. JJ looks for Condi, but gets to summon a heal from Xie as well.
This is really delicate. Crown's still level 1, trying to get into the minion wave, picks another Thunderlord's trade.
Man, these games, the action, like trading levels, has persisted across all three, just blow for blow from minute 1.
I do love the flow-on effect, though, Jack. I love the fact that it was just a bit of a feeling. Like you said, they didn't spot the Jarvan in the brush, went for a ward to deny even the gank, but they went to the next level and said, okay, we thought he was there, why not check the blue buff? Couldn't get a big advantage from it.
Yeah, just credit to Crown and Ambition for being able to get those wards. Can't get the kill, but it's a pretty big advantage they potentially gained off of that. Xie also has used heal in the laning phase. Condi now flashless, so that really strong start the Team WE had in game 1 the last time they were on blue side. It's not the case right off of this.
So Cube moves in, gets that Scryer's Bloom pop, places a ward down. All information completely downloaded on the side of Samsung. They've got the entire playbook available to them. Now, of course, there is somewhat of a cost because of the shenanigans. Minus 10 CS in the bottom lane, minus 8 CS in the middle lane. So Team WE has got some advantages against the pushing lane or in the lanes where they can push.
I mean, bottom lane is definitely going to be painful. No flash carry against already the advantageous pushing lane matchup of Tristana and Karma. So for now, under the turret mid lane for Samsung. Samsung Ambition just being a jerk.
Yeah, no doubt.
And we do have to pay a lot of attention to this bottom lane. Mystic is on a scaling 80 carry like Tristan. They have the winning lane, right? If that is the key for their success, which it has been, it's on Ambition and Samsung to try and shut that down.
Ambition's setting himself up, but it's a difficult lane to get into. All summoners available, Ben and for Mystic. Body slam not even going to reach. Pulled ever so slightly short. Ben, it felt like he was on the trigger finger. Anticipated it could have been somebody waiting in the bush and gets away safe.
Yeah, Ben didn't flash that because the follow-up just wasn't there for Samsung. It would have just been a lone Gragas that would have hurt with some poke, but ultimately not that threatening. And it's good that Ben has the presence of mind to realize that, because you place a ward in the Fog of War, and you have half a second to make a decision of whether or not you have to flash the Gragas. You need to have the whole game in your focus in that moment to know not to flash, and Ben didn't even flash.
I see what it equates to is now Ben's going to get... Oh, it just sidestepped the Dazzle, actually. Shea unable to interrupt Crown's recall. And the game is a gold advantage to Team WE, thanks to that CS numbers that have been accrued. In the middle and bottom lane, we've not touched on 957 Cuvée. It is a farm lane. Cho'Gath into Shen, getting close to 6. That means Cuvée, the safety button of Stand United, will allow Ruler and 4JJ just a little bit of extra breathing room from any shenanigans that WE can put on the map.
Yeah, and post 6 on the solo lanes, this bottom lane becomes a much scarier place and diminishes a lot of the strength you would get from the pushing Tristana and the Karma.
Really good buffering there from Mystic.
3-6 though, they could be rather ambitious. Would they try for a dive? It would be incredibly ambitious. Their damage just isn't there yet.
Maybe if heal barrier was down, you could try to make something happen, but with both being up, a little bit too risky there, so Condi will just back away. Do like the fact, we're going to compliment Samsung on their adaptations in draft and early game. Both are in the WE finding more pushing lanes, going for the Karma, also having very good wave clear in mid and top is an adaptation for them.
Okay, Root is going to connect down onto Ruler. No flash for Core JJ, but
they're going to try a 5-man dive here if they actually go for this.
The knock up onto Core JJ. Remember, no flash. Shockwave comes back. Stand United was picked up. That got interrupted by 957, but this should open up tower damage in favor of Team WE. Going to start hammering that one away. The E comes down from Mystic and will just pop. Where's the rest of WE? They're not sticking around.
Get the Stand United without it turning anything around, but that's still just the top laner who can teleport in. They're applying as much possible pressure as they can while they have this window in the bottom lane.
But it's so hard to actually DPS down a turret when Talia can rotate so quickly. When Shen, honestly, is happy that he was interrupted in that particular scenario because there was no more damage to follow, and he gets to stay in lane and keep pushing. Cho'Gath was held accountable. That means that Samsung really lose little apart from a chunk on bot lane out.
Yeah, and Team W is playing on such tight timings for that play. They were there with Xie at level 6 before Crown was level 6. Crown couldn't match with that Weaver's Wall, but Cuvée did hit 6, just barely, and it was the ultimate of the Shen that ultimately saved Core JJ's life.
And that means he gets away to fight another day, and fight we shall have. Ben gets caught up by the Dazzle, trades back and forth, no 6s available yet. Mystic and Ben continue to back away. Neither of these bottom lanes have been able to recall. Doran, Shield, and Potion still available
Crown's on
for
the ground.
Ruler and Mystic. And this Weaver's Wall going to cut off any potential escape if Mystic and Ben overextend, but it feels like they're playing just on the edge of safety.
Even just the fact that he left lane made it so Mystic missed the cannon wave. So he is relieving pressure just in that moment.
All right, nicely done. Good trade there between Shie and Crown. And Crown has actually overtaken the CS deficit he found himself in. Thanks to that play, thanks to that focus on the bottom lane by Team WE. We're heading to the 10-minute mark, and it's still even. Nobody's died yet, despite multiple attempts.
It's like the what-ifs have been created, but none of the answers have been shown. Condi on the back foot the last couple of moments. Flash back up from the earlier plays. Top lane, it's been the island so far.
What I like about this game, in contrast to the two previous, both junglers are kind of on a more even footing.
Sure.
Neither jungler's been as heavily hit behind. It's a 150 gold separating Condi and Ambition. Whereas both previous games, one or other party really got accelerated ahead, and it felt like it was a trickle that turned into a downpour.
Yeah, and I think both junglers are actually behind the normal experience curve that you would come to expect. You can see Condi here, still level 5, nearly 9 minutes into the game, Ambition just hitting 6. Like, Ben is about to hit level 6 as a support. They have been roaming wards for a lot of this early game, spotting each other out and trying to prevent dives.
Something that's been afforded to Samsung has been the pushing advantage in the previous games, around 50% forward percentage for Roller. Means they've been pushing under turrets in game 1 and game 2. WE changing up their draft means that this game they have had the forward percentage. They've been ahead of the river, just to give you a visual indicator, and it means they have a lot of priority around the bot side here, specifically around the blue buff of Samsung.
Yeah, I'm going to hurt that statistic that just popped up on your screen, and Cube also on screen just placed that blue buff or that Gromp side ward once again. Feels like every time Cube can, he moves lane to set that up, still out farming 957's Cho'Gath, as you would expect in the matchup. And the 80 carries, by the way, still yet to back 2,500 gold on each side. So a lot of power still to be gained as 10 minutes of laning phase is not equated into the opportunity to leave that tower.
Yeah, and the first person to leave the turret is going to be giving up a lot of turret damage. They're both saving up a large amount of gold to try and go. I think the sensor is potentially more important than the 80 carry, but they're going for a fight here.
Good interrupt by Condi. Flashed away from the shockwave. Stand United comes down. Shie and Condi now are in a fight they maybe do not want. The taunt connects onto Condi. Summoning Kill has been used once again, and nobody dies. But WE forcing the Stand United. What more can they do with this?
A lot of respective cooldowns on both sides. No interest from Ambition to flash until he saw the shockwave animation. Got out of that, and then Shia ran out of damage very early in the game with just a lost chapter and Merc Treads. Not going to be able to DPS down Ambition with his Balmy Cinder. Have to invest the Stand United, so maybe a play around the bottom lane they've tried previously is more reliable now for WE.
Exactly. The second purely defensive cooldown that Cuvée has had to use of Stand United allows Mystic and Ben to continue pushing here. We said after the draft phase that the lane pressure was so critical in the success of this game, and this is a small way that Team WE is working towards that. Getting Stand United down, 957 has plenty of tools to interrupt a Shen teleport while they are trading in laning patterns, and it gives Team WE a certain level of safety bottom side.
Team WE going to try use that safety. Every time we see Condi's really showing his face towards that bottom quadrant, really prioritizing that lane is something we've seen a fair amount, and still no back, still no absolute tower control yet, despite Mystic and Ben trying to keep ruling Core JJ defense.
That's a small point, but an extended laning phase, when you're going Rage Bait, is really important. You want to back and buy a straight up Rage Bait, not have the power droppers. We'll hold the point though.
All right, Weaver's Wall comes down. There's no real follow-up. Explosive passes on cooldown by Ambition. Ben doesn't want to play that one too risky. Flash heal over the wall.
And I think the word we can use to describe all of these plays is patient. Yep. From both teams. They use the Weaver's Wall right away. Ruler and Core JJ are like, but the minions, I kind of want to finish them off before the wall's going to be there for a couple seconds, right? And they wait. And then Ben also waits until he's in risk of actually dying before flashing over the wall. That all could have been done really early, but they're trying to get the most mileage possible out of these summoner spells, and they're being very disciplined about how they use it.
Oh, that's going to set us up for some exciting fights later. If anyone holds on to the trigger, Shie under risk of getting caught up by Ambition. The task is available. Body Slam comes up. There's the flash. Ambition still holding on the trigger. Every single skirmish is just on the edge of safety and danger.
Yeah, and she is kind of forced into trading with Crown over and over again because Crown is consistently playing to that bottom side of the map, and without his flash and with Ambition's flash being desynced, that may be where we end up seeing first blood in this game.
With the gold grass we had on the screen before, both 80 carries backing without 3,700 gold. It is going to be massive purchases. Ruler should be able to straight up buy a Rage Blade. Adds it to the Ardent Sensor. Staying in lane for 12 minutes for a Rage Blade carry is insane. This is the first buy Rage Blade we've had at the entire tournament, and now the instant power level gain for Samsung cannot be matched by any items for Tristana and Karma.
What is the equalizer on the other side? Mystic, obviously, Berserker's Greaves, Pickaxe, BF Sword, but Ben has completed that Ardent Sensor.
Yeah, the Ardent Sensor not quite commit Core JJ will be pivotal, but the way I look at the matchup usually is when you're against a Rage Blade carry, you get Berserker Greaves and BF Sword, you can push lanes, you can turret rotate. The Recurve go a Pickaxe just kind of chilling, waiting for the Rage Blade to be complete. So it's big that WE and Samsung have been forced to stay in lane so long, and Ruler now gets a very nice one-item power spike.
Yeah, I actually think, though, based on the damage amp and sustain of the Ardent Sensor, that Mystic and Ben can still win this lane. This poke doesn't necessarily mean that much when he can just sustain back up. But after another wave or two, when Core JJ can recall to go get that Ardent Sensor, that's when you really notice that advantage.
Oh, look at the damage. Full 4 autos onto that E. Ruler gets chunked down, gets the heal from Core JJ instantly. But keep your eyes on Mystic. Every auto giving that HP back thanks to the Ardent Sensor, and Condi is waiting in the wings. But okay, Stand United is up and available. Teleport is there for 957, and with Cuvée backing on the mini-map, you have to wonder if something is being set up. Looking down, Crown and Ambition making their way. This is going to be a gigantic party if everybody continues to pull the trigger. Weaver's Wall not yet fires.
Ben being flashless caused a level of uncertainty for Team WE to be aggressive, which ended up putting them in the right spot because that's what Samsung was looking to punch.
But Samsung has to outnumber because of the Ardent Sensor being there, because the damage instant trades are being lost by Ruler and Core JJ. But once again, a lot of the setup, but no payoff as the back start, and Tark's going to leave now just to get the Ardent Sensor.
WE are just quietly farming up this lead. You know, Mystic now nearly 26 CS up. Small misstep there by Shie, but, you know, Righteous Glory picked up for 957. Shie and Mystic getting closer to their first big completion, and you have to feel that both teams are going to be fairly happy with this even early game because they both scale relatively well to the mid and late.
And they're both big-time team-fighting teams. Like, that's the point in the game that they really want to get to. I would say that Samsung has a bit of a hedge towards a 4-1 team and a split-pushing team, but still big, giant team fights. And Shie with Condi are going to be looking to pull off the Jarvan-Orianna combo in team fights and have Mystic go off the backside and clean up. So, yes, the Rage Blade is a power spike for Ruler right now, but neither team is super unhappy about this game this week.
In the super late game, I take Cho'Gath in 2 tank comps over the Shen and Gragas in the pure 5v5 just because Cho'Gath feasts on the front line. Shockwave inevitably going to hit some frontline members as it goes for some carries, and you usually have the first frontliner go down. So in the super late game, I look to WE, but super late game is very far away when we're only 16 minutes into the game.
Well, it feels like we're going to get there, though. At this current tempo, neither team making a mistake yet. Oh, big burst of damage from Ruler. Getting the best of that trade with that Rage Blade stack as well as the Blighted Quiver.
Exactly. Keep the Rage Blade stacked up. It means one hit gives him 2 Blights. He procs it right away, and it's an untradeable thing for Mystic as he's kind of stuck under his turret at this current moment, and that's why Samsung is threatening.
Keep your eyes on this dive. The latest
Giving
first
up the turret for it.
The latest first blood at Worlds, gentlemen. 17 minutes and 41 seconds. A little over 70 seconds away. A tower will die before a champion does in favor of Samsung Galaxy. And what more will they take with it? They got the first dragon, they got the first tower, and Samsung are now in control of
and
the
they couldn't get a deep ward down bot lane, so even though 957 with his trademark step out of lane, look for a teleport, there was no flank ward like the one that cost Cloud9 so dearly in game 1 of that quarterfinal. No ability to punish, so free objective to Samsung.
Yeah, and I think the threat that Samsung was putting on the turret justified Team WE backing off. the Shen ulting in on a Taric who puts Cosmic Radiance on everyone probably would have been first blood of the game, and then also the turret for Samsung. So I think the patience of Team WE, even though it hurts to just give up first turret when you're the Trist Karma lane, it feels bad, was the right call in the moment.
Well, Samsung bringing a lot of power to bear. The fact that Crown is even threatening as well as everybody else. So continue to play out this very, very, very extended laning phase. I mean, Rula and Core JJ, they didn't leave their tower. They want to hold on to it. They came back down. I want to see where Mystic and Ben go after they've just backed and picked up the Infinity Edge. Because it feels like Team WE, they're the ones that are making the first swap here. Mystic and Ben have left the lane. Obviously, they have no tower left to defend.
Yeah, and it is a game of inches as well at this point. 18 minutes in now, no first blood, but the vision control starting to creep up for Samsung. They've already taken first turret. They're controlling the red buff. They have the dragon. They are building these advantages slowly.
To maybe dive the Cho'Gath, as Cho'Gath has been sent to deal in the 1v2 and almost supreme control of the bot side to Samsung.
And as long as Ruler's keeping his Insus fully stacked, he is so much more threatening. He's doing a great job of that with this red buff.
Yeah, Team WE cannot hold into the inner tower, so the second of the game will fall almost uncontested. Xie may be cut off by Crown.
They're looking for more. They're going to keep pushing. There's no reason for them to back off.
All right, Xie's now joined the fight. This is a 4v3 at best. Wave clear of Orianna and Cho'Gath will buy some time. Team WE will pick up their first tower. It's still an even game in gold as we get to this 20-minute mark. And in comparison to the two previous games, where it felt like the winner had already been dictated and decided, this is obviously the most even of the series. And now we get to see who can flex their mid and late game team fighting skills. Both teams comfortable in the late game, historically within their own regions.
Yeah, and right now, Samsung is doing a really good job of working around the Rageblade power spike. That's the one-item power spike that Tristana doesn't get. The Infinity Edge needs to have the static shift counterpart, and then I feel like really kicks in a high gear on the second Zeal item. So Team WE is just trying to withstand this storm, but Samsung getting more out of the Rageblade power spike than many teams have so far at Worlds.
A lot of that from just being able to keep the laning phase going till both AD carries had over 100 CS. A jungle gank comes up, someone has to back with a flash down. They don't get the Rage Blade as a first buy. But extending the laning phase that long was the only real advantage either team has gotten the entire game.
And you see how safely Team WE played around the Rift Child as well. It started that one off, instantly backed away the moment any sort of Samsung presence was shown. So that one's going to time out. No Herald today. In game 3, rather. Dragon will be coming up in a minute and a half. Samsung picked up the first one. 1 towers to 2, but still an even goal game. We're just setting ourselves up for some big, very, very pivotal fights. One confident, one strong victory can lead to a Baron, can lead to absolute map control and vision control.
A lot of pain here. Red buff and the Titanic Hydra complete. All 957 can do is run away.
Has to completely concede the wave, which means Cuvée is free to ultimate, which then makes it more difficult for Team WE to defend this turret. Knowing the Shen ultimate could come in and die, Mystic has to cede a lot of ground to rule it.
And it's so important that they got first turret on bot side, because now you send the 4-man unit top side, Shen can join instantly. The Taric Ardent Sensor Baron threat is something we always talk about, but it's so real if Samsung can cement control on top side, and to me, steps towards that, get this top lane turret, take down mid, and then Baron's on the menu very short.
And there's a very real chance this could be a game where we see first Baron before first blood. It depends if they are disciplined enough to set up this bottom side play, and Team WE doesn't try and orchestrate a Jarvan and Orianna play to burst in before the Taric ultimate can land, because if Samsung keep prepping around this mid lane and top lane turret, they could get something to happen. It all depends if W wants to sit and defend.
Well, they're going to look for it. First blood will be picked up by Rula onto Xie, the latest of World 2017. Tower is the focus as well. Going to drop that one. Third tower of the game.
But that only happened because Team WE tried to defend, in which they were not equipped to do so. The waves are out of position. That could have just been a turret and not a kill for Samsung, but they end up getting a little bit more.
But for Samsung, it's surgical, Chat. This game is what they wanted to do in game 1. Disarray in the early game meant they couldn't hit their power spikes. They fell behind. They lost this game. It has been the sort of control game. Samsung are the sort of team that could win a game with 0 kill score, because they can play around side lanes well. And you talk about things like the gap, which is a big thing. We'll hold on to that point, though, is in the mid lane, I'll hold on to the gap point because the Gragas play here, very nice.
Yeah, and you can see Xie doesn't have time to react. Had maybe 0.2 of a second by the time Ambition showed before he was instantly CCG'd to death. And then they get the turret afterwards, no problem.
The gap between Korean teams and other teams has closed. You can see that in this tournament, where so many games have gone to 5. Team fighting wise, there's definitely been very impressive team fighting teams outside Korea. But guys, the one area where consistently I think SKT and Samsung show it best that Korea is advanced is in terms of playing the map, in terms of the macro play, in terms of playing around tempo, being defensive where you need to and getting big advantages on other sides of the map. Samsung have done that in Game 2 and Game 3. And you feel this kind of strangulation of WE, even if the kill score is so low.
You also have to wonder, though, how much advantage can Samsung get? Because they need to have a lot. They need to play around this Baron, unless WE can get the fight.
Body slam was interrupted there. Kanji still got Cataclysm available, but look at the Radiance. That's going to buy so much time. Now it's a 5v4. Good shockwave in reply. 957 gets the feast out. It's a 1-for-1 jungler for support. Cube gets a taunt up, knocked back, and Shie's dropped down. His flash means nothing. Samsung Galaxy are running away with this fight as they're trying to run Ben and Mystic down. Mystic takes a couple more volley shots to the face and ends up being a 1-for-3 in favor of Samsung.
And there was 21 minutes of pain leading up to that moment of the surgical demolition from Samsung. WE goes for the fight, but they just don't get the clean initiation. The Taric ultimate ends up going down, and they just clean house on Team WE and now have the large lead they have been building towards for so long.
And the adjustment and pick of bands is no clearer than the Shen that was prioritized in the second round. The Shen able to use here, used on Ambition, huge shield coming through from both the Shen, probably to the Colossus. Watch the Shen particularly, get the first kill onto Kondi, he's all alone. The taunt here from Cube after the shockwave onto Jia and multiple members turns the fight that started 1-for-1.
And then watching the end of this fight, the taunt chained into the seismic shove. Beautiful. What takes Chie out of the fight was still a relatively close fight before that moment, but in that big moment, they do out-execute.
And look at the gold difference. So a bunch of kills, Baron secured as well, and a 5,000 gold lead. Samsung Galaxy are ahead in every single metric, and they played the map beautifully already. Now it just gets easier with Baron.
And they have silenced this crowd as well. These are the demoralizing types of games you talk about. Team WE already lost with the Jarvan Galio, the dream composition for themselves. And this game, Samsung has just lulled them to sleep, but are winning in all the lanes. It was about the push. That's what we talked about. They had the push in so many different ways, and they're getting aggressive only when they need to, making it feel a little bit hopeless for Team WE. Can WE even really get on the board in this game? Because they need something to get some momentum back.
Safe objectives for WE to pick up have dwindled minute after minute. Minions became harder. Their jungle camps were contested. Wards were moved up, but now with an engage comp, which is really all you can describe WE's comp as it stands right now. There isn't an engage they win. There's not a 5v5 fight, even with like the Rumble Twitch that we saw in Game 1, that really looks realistic to go their way. And Samsung keep pushing up, and all WE can do is be second to a rotation and hope for a Samsung mistake.
Yeah, looking at the timing there, as soon as Rula and Cordia J made their way to the tower, Cube was waiting in the wings, potentially setting up a dive from behind. The moment there's not a clear push, go back, shove the next wave, and roam to middle.
Remember that it's not been a perfect game from Samsung. The two defensive Shen ults stopped them from being picked earlier, delayed the game. The Shen's power, just in saving them, a couple of mistakes early game, have allowed there to be largely a good performance. But if those mistakes lead to kills, it's a very different game.
Yeah, it prevents any type of snowball, though, because they had it. Right? So they were playing defense where they had to so they can continue to apply the pressure in the right places. The Trist Karma still haven't taken the bottom lane turret, right? The fact that that is still standing speaks volumes to the way Crown, I feel like, was consistently living in the river in the early game on that Talia.
Hurt him early on, but it made up for it later. Those ultimates from Crown's Talia just allowed the bottom two towers fall in quick succession, and that's when Samsung's map play took over, something that we were talking about, just how clean they were playing. You can hear the chants trying to come in here in favor of WE.
A bit of restless energy, that's what it sounds like. The people want to see something, they want to see signs of life from WE, but Samsung are not obliging.
Yeah, and games like this, where it's 4 kills to 1, 26 minutes in, make it feel very much like a strategy game, which allows you to kind of dissect the team compositions and what tools they have in these moments. And the Talia is so key for them right now. The fact that they picked the Shen, Xie decided not to go for the Talia, which could have given them more bot side pressure, afraid of whatever Crown's counter pick could have been to the Talia, is having a pretty large output onto the stadium.
I mean, it feels like we're watching a civilization game, and it's an economic victory coming through from Samsung. There's been no bloodshed. 5 kills, most of which were in one single fight. Otherwise, the economics show you very clearly it's only gone in one way from 15 minutes. They got standing gold. They made some mistakes with 2 defensive Shen ults before this red side graph started. And from there, it's only been one-way traffic.
It has been, and now Samsung need to get through the wave clear. There's one thing a Team WE do have. Obviously, the Orion and the Cho'Gath can help, even more so when Mystic almost 2 shots the wave and Ruler. But man, oh man, WE now need to look for a mistake or look for a magical engage before the Cosmic Radiance land in order to turn around this gigantic goal deficit.
Yeah, and I think Samsung is just in a holding pattern now until the objectives come back up. The second mountain is now up. With that 1-3-1, they pushed Team WE into defensive positions, making this Drake uncontestable. They already have good control wards in the blue buff of Team WE, which preempts the Baron Vision. Samsung, they've played this game before. They know how to start off the game, and they're just going through the motions right now.
Really nicely done. The smaller side, I would have loved if they delayed it 30 seconds and just forced the 35:05 Elder Dragon, you know, just in case the game doesn't end before then. Speed up that process. Irrelevant, however, it's just something I'd like to see coming in more.
They probably wanted the Infernal Drake. 2 mountains in a cloud, they're just like, well, what's it gonna be? The Infernal would be nice. They get another cloud. If they knew it was a cloud, they would have waited that 10 seconds, but they're willing to roll the dice.
Either way, Samsung just in an absolutely great position. You know, closing this out will put them 1 Nexus kill away from a 2016 rematch in the finals with SKT. Samsung continuing to, I don't want to say surprise necessarily, this was a series where they were favourite, but if you had said at the beginning of the tournament that it was going to be a Samsung SKT final, it would have been a shocking thing to state.
Absolutely. Longju were the big favourites from Korea. SKT are always SKT. But Samsung, impressive in fits and spurts. This has kind of been the story of this team who, in terms of actually making it to a regional final, LCK final, they've never done it since that famous Samsung Blue lineup made the finals. Since they came together as Samsung Galaxy at the start of 2015 with all those players moving over to China, they've never made a final. In fact, when it comes to Gauntlet playoffs, they're 0-9 in the postseason. They haven't won a single game towards getting to one of those regional finals. It'd be an absurd world where a team could win the world final potentially, having never won their domestic league.
Yeah, and Team WE, even though they won in spring, were the 3rd place team in the summer split. But even refocusing in on this game, there is still the slightest of chances that Team WE find the right team fight. If they can somehow burst Ruler, get the Shockwave, and he has not flashed it, with Mystic on these items right now, they could get a huge fight. And Team WE has done this against tons of teams in the LPL, so it is a possibility.
Whenever I see 4 items on Mystic, everything is possible. He has hit his item spikes just fine.
They're gonna try for it.
Gonna try indeed.
Bait up
Cosmic
the Terror
Radiance will be good. Stand United still available, and the trigger was not pulled, so they traded 2 ultimates for 1 in favor of Condi.
They would have loved to blow more, but that is still going to be something. Cosmic Radiance is down. Greater chance they can find the fight they're looking for. Notice there is 2 lockets on Samsung's side. They are both up to answer the shot clock.
Flash was big. Condi needs to find a way to get some of his health back, especially without the Cataclysm. So Samsung still being fairly confident. Here's Ambition!
All right, Ambition's got the Stand United on his head. Mystic is able to buffer the escape on that rocket jump. Now it's a full-on 5v5. Shockwave pulls back 2, but it's not only the front line. 4JJ gets feasted down, and Samsung win. They get the first kill. Their damage dealers went untouched.
It's the double locket meant that the Shockwave did almost nothing. Both of them popped, negated all the burst damage, and from there they're looking for another turn.
Yeah, Cube's gonna look for that taunt flash possibility, not gonna find the target. Ben gets shut down as the Weaver's Wall locks him out. There's 9,000 gold in the lead, and Samsung gonna peel away to the Baron.
That double locket was so good. There are diminishing returns when the second person presses the locket, but it almost made you think Terragant was still up. You're like, ooh, the Shockwave! What happened right there? Mystic couldn't get through Shen. Samsung had the gold lead, played with the gold lead, and played that fight beautifully.
Simple equation. Double locket versus a no Void Staff Orianna, unfortunately, means no lasting damage onto the carries. The moment that happened, they could just turn on the front line. Mystic had to move backwards, and all the damage was gone from WE.
I'm so glad you talked about that no Void Staff. When we get out of the replay, look at the item disparity between these two teams, but this was obviously the secondary engage.
Yeah, also burning the flash of Xie very early on. 957 does teleport in, but frontline versus frontline, you're ulting the two tanks. They hardly take that much damage, and the carries are completely untouched before Samsung able to free hit.
Usually when you see that dive in, the amount of burst damage would mean that the front line is brittle. You can't have your carries continue to move forwards. Not the case with the double locket. And Trevor, he went for the Banshee Veil because it was on the way to, he saw the Fiendish Codex. He felt pressured enough because of how the game was gone, not confident enough to go for the Void Staff. It's one of those weird spots where maybe you need to hit and hope with a Void Staff and accept that you don't have the defensive opportunities. We talked about calculated risks in game one. This feels like very much a defensive choice in a game where you don't have the latitude to make it.
At this time, at this stage of the game where it is, you need that 3000 elo shockwave, and a Banshee's Veil's not going to get you close to that, especially when you compare on the other side, Deathcap, Leandris, Morello, and Void Staff for Crown's Talia. He's just going to be destroying people with that threaded volley. So Baron up, only inhibitor turrets remaining. WE now have to defend against Baron empowered minions.
Yeah, and it's a double Mountain Drake Baron. So I think that's also why Ruler picked off this rapid fire cannon. It's not necessarily the item you would expect out of the Bears, but it's for those siege shots. They Talia wall around with the double mountain. That was easy. But Samsung is also just making it look that easy.
Cutting through that tower like a hot knife through butter. Inhibitor falls as well. WE, they don't fancy themselves any opportunity for an engage yet.
Yeah, and Team WE has probably just waited too long to find these fights. They were never able to orchestrate that right engage, and it's the gold that is really paying off right now. It's just a 3-inhib destruction by Samsung. Team WE, the reason they're not engaging is because the game just ends on an engage, and they're hoping for some type of lucky fight with Mystic, but Samsung is not the team to give it to.
Trying to find an opportunity. Cosmic Radiance starts getting channeled, and Condi will stay alive just a little while longer, but the chain of corruption spreads from 957. He's forced to flash back away. Now Ambition takes a couple of autos. Look at those shields and the lockets and the heals. The third inhibitor falls. Samsung, despite the fight looking a little bit hairy, they get every inhibitor, and this will just allow them to use this 14,000 gold lead and double super minions to push down the Nexus.
The game extends, but to what end when you lose all 3 inhibitors when you're WE? They have the teamfight tools, but they never felt confident enough to pull the trigger because they couldn't force anything out of Samsung. They're not even finding Krugs or minions or monsters in their base to find more gold. They can't close what is now feeling like an unassailable 15,000 gold.
And Papa Smithy, with the tempo of this game, Crown has gone to the library and picked up the same book that Faker was reading from yesterday. Got himself 9 stacks on that Medjai's. 35 minutes. There's the next dragon, not an Elder. However, this game may be over before that even gets a chance to spawn, because Samsung, they have just absolutely controlled what felt like every stage of this game.
It's just so demoralizing if you're WE, this team that fancy yourself in a late game team fight. You would have been happy with the pace of the game being slow, but they kept slipping. Maybe they weren't even conscious of it, but every second it slipped a little bit further, a little bit further, a little bit further. We could identify it, but it was so small at the time. But now it's turning into a much faster pace because this game ends when Samsung chooses for it to.
3 inhibs down, don't even need the Baron because there are 6 super minions that can crash at the same time as they prep this push, and they're even just pulling them off the turret with another Talia wall.
Yeah, that rapid fire cannon's going to keep Ruler safe as well if needed. There's the engage from Condi. Can't even finish the Cataclysm. He just gets dropped where he stands. Between Crown and Ruler, they destroy him. Team WE, last Bastion, last Nexus turret, last chance in a 4v5. Cosmic Radiance start getting channeled, and Ben will get split away from the team. Mystic goes down before he does. 957 and Xie, the last people standing. It will not matter, it will not care. And Samsung Galaxy are 1 win away from a rematch in the finals with SKT.
And that game was just pure, unadulterated domination by Samsung right here. It feels bad if you are WE right now in front of your home crowd to get beaten 10 kills to 1 in 36 minutes. Just total map play the entire time, and WE never found a fight.
And we've got verification, gentlemen. The download is complete, judging on what we saw in Game 3. WE looking demoralized because there was never that chance to make something happen. They'll find themselves on the red side also for Game 4 if we see Samsung choose blue, as has been the trend in the weekend. Samsung look relieved. They've earned themselves a bit of relief because that was as decisive as can be.
All right, 2-game match point now. Got a little bit of breathing room on the side of Samsung Galaxy, and it feels like they just found their gear. It feels like they found a groove. WE have got some gigantic questions to answer.
Yeah, and it's two things, because yes, Samsung has found their groove, but Team WE have definitely lost it. And as far as like the faith you have in them bouncing back, it's looking really grim for Team WE right
After
now.
a 27.5-minute crushing victory from Team W in Game 1, it's gone from bad to worse. Let's see what the analysts think about how they lost that game.
I mean, we could say it in so many ways, quick shot, but Samsung Galaxy here in Game 3 seem to have found their form. That precise, slow play that you talked about, Deficio, where they will win the game even without kills if they have to.
I mean, it's beautiful to look at, and it's so hard to play against. If you don't have an easy way back in a game like this, when you're like, do you get a mistake from Samsung? Not really. Do they overextend? Do they chase kills? No, they don't. They're just like, oh, there's the one kill we need. Here's a Baron. And then they just slowly grind you out. And if you don't have aggressive tools in the early game, WE can't win.
And this is kind of exactly how we laid it out in the pregame. You know, WE need to play around bottom lane. They're going to focus on this area of the map. That's why Samsung have crafted so much focus here. The Shen denies all of these plays around the bottom side of the map. The Varus pick is huge for Ruler, so much comfort there, and then they can actually be the ones to start out fights with that ultimate as well. You bring crowd control on the bottom side, even if you have that Taric for a little bit weaker of an early laning phase, they have the Taliyah and the Shen that can roam down there, so the solo lanes get to basically X out any of those bottom lane plays.
Yeah, and I think that 2 games in a row now, you've kind of had this feeling where it's like, well, if WE can get that fight, right, they could win the game. But Samsung does not give you that fight. They, as you said, they always go for the optimal play. They're willing to slowly grind you out. They're willing to play the map. And when they have better engage tools, when they have better responses to what WE's options are, unless they do slip up, unless they get over aggressive, WE never has a chance to take that fight because it doesn't matter how strong Cho'Gath is in this straight-up 5v5. He cannot move around the map as quickly as the Shen. And we cannot see the Orianna match the roams and the movement of the Taliyah either.
And that's why I think if you look at the draft, you know, on your screen here, when we go down to pick number 4, where you have the Cho'Gath, and pick number 5, where you have the Orianna for WE, I think that's where it kind of falls apart for them, because they have this bot lane I really like that can push very aggressively, they can try and take the tower against the Taric, but when you have an Orianna who can't leave his lane or her lane, and you have a scaling top as well, it gets really difficult to get the bot lane tower and be aggressive.
What are you taking place there, right? Because we look at the Cho'Gath as the quintessential 957 champion, but it was mentioned by the casters that CA hadn't played Orianna a single time in summer, and so this was a very new pick for him. You'd think the Syndra may have been the way to go?
I mean, if you want to be more aggressive in mid lane early game, there's Syndra, there's LeBlanc, a champion he's played so much as well in the past. He used to be the Lucian guy as well. Like, not specific just him, but he's played Lucian as well. We saw that in Messiah. And there are definitely more aggressive choices he can go for. I'm even going to bring up a champion that you guys might slap me in the face for, but Rise is a thing.
Don't you say it.
And I'm just saying, if
it's
you
almost
want,
as bad as NAJ.
Let him be, let him be.
If you want some early game pressure, there are multiple mid lane choices. Orianna is not one of them. And I think you need more early game if you're WE.
I mean, I'd even say,
I know.
What about an engaged support, right? You know, something a little bit different. So yes, the Karma does brings pressure in the bot lane. They do have that pushing strategy, but if you cannot actually execute on a lead, if you're getting shut down because of the roaming picks in the solo lanes, then you need something that allows you to find fights when you have advantages in the mid game. And while yes, you can go early, you can look for the Syndra and these sort of early aggressive plays. If they want to play a team fight style, you still can, but we saw, you know, Ben on the Rakan, that was where they had their success. They're able to get a lead, they're getting these advantages, then they can find a fight. And if you're willing to play something like that, even like the Leon and like the Blitzcrank that we've seen being taken out. I don't know if he has those picks prepared, but that is a way to find fights and force fights when you have advantages.
I just want to see the lanes more aligned in what they're picked for. If you pick an engage on the bottom line and you had a blitzcrank in that game with 2 scaling solo lanes, I think the same thing happens, and it might even be worse. Because you're not going to be able
it has to be a cohesive game.
Exactly. Basically has been the breakdown for me, because Triss Karma, you can push on that turret and try and get some of that early gold going, but as soon as Shen is level 6, you saw them. Condi's just waiting around bottom lane defensively. They're just basically waiting for the counterplay, which Samsung are going to grind you out. They're not going to give you that opening.
And let's be clear, we're talking so much about Champion Select because Champion Select did dictate so much of the non-fighting that took place in this game. We really only got one big one, and that was 24 minutes in. Samsung Galaxy will come out on top in this one, 3 for 1, but we see WE's best attempt at a combo here.
And I think them just saying, we have to look for a fight is correct, but when you're then all-inning on a Gragas, I just gotta say, no, you're not winning this fight here. Like, you need to find Varus or Talia. Like, yeah, they land a good shockwave here, which could have been the big one. And then the follow-up is the Cho'Gath ends up feasting the support next to him. And the first engage and then the actual kill onto the Taric was just not what they were looking for, and they were already behind.
Yeah, it's definitely very true. You also have to give a lot of credit to Samsung, though, for how well they avoided these fights, for how well they picked their battles, and even for the champion pools of the solo laners. I mean, yes, they did get their roaming picks, but the Gnar and the Malzahar have been so big for Cuvée and for Crown that they're drawing those bans, right? They're opening up the ability to play these other picks, and there's just so many champions that it feels like they're very threatening on right now that it becomes really tough in draft.
And now we find, or rather Team WE find themselves in the opposite position of RNG from yesterday, now down 2-1 in the series. They are the last hope of the LPL and the Chinese region here in terms of making it to the final and not letting it be a rematch of last year's final. So, with Samsung electing to go back to blue side, WE mounting back-to-back wins. Let's talk about mentality of these players and how they find their groove that Jat claims they lost.
I think WE needs to go back to what they did in game 1, where they managed to get a lot of engage, a lot of very aggressive picks who could actually force fights in the early game. I think that benefited them quite a lot. They had the Shen and they had Zyra Rakan. Now, obviously, you're probably not getting that entire trio once again, but they can definitely look for more aggressive early game picks. And I actually think being on red side is not bad for them, because they can now last pick either mid or top lane. Ideally, they last pick mid and get Jay in a good early matchup so he can actually roam to top or bot side.
Yeah, and I think they need to do all of that without giving up the Janna, as we have seen before, which is hard because you're trying to shuffle around these pieces, but there are still the key bans that you can't give up.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be very difficult for WE if Samsung is executing on this level, but I definitely agree. Best chance is early aggression, drafting something he said that makes sense. If you're going to go for this early aggression in the mid lane, then all in on a mid and early game strategy. We've seen them pull these off before with Jace and Caitlyn and these sorts of things. I wouldn't even mind seeing them go for some sort of early pushing strategy.
Yeah, and I think Crown is a guy you can definitely punish. Like, I don't think he's been amazing in this game here. I think he's been very open for ganks, especially, which is, again, where you have a good combo in the mid lane between your jungler and your mid lane, and you can take him down.
You brought up the LeBlanc. I would love to see Cia's LeBlanc come out here when everything's on the line. Any final thoughts here before we go? That's it. All right, Samsung Galaxy are 1 win away from a rematch versus SKT in the World Finals. When we come back, see if Team WE can tie up the series. Don't go anywhere.
Mission.
They're going to look for it. First blood will be picked up by Ruler onto Shie. Now it's a full-on 5v5. Shockwave pulls back too, but it's not only the front line. 4JJ gets feasted down, and Samsung win. They get the first kill. 957, and Shie, the last people standing. It will not matter. It will not care. And Samsung Galaxy are 1 win away from a rematch in the finals with SKT.
If you want to follow the best of the Rift, then you need T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. We've doubled our coverage, so you can stream worlds in more places than ever before. With T-Mobile, don't miss a moment from the first battle, all the way to the lifting of the Summoner's Cup. Another reason why T-Mobile is America's best unlimited network.
And welcome back to match point between Samsung Galaxy and Team WE. This could be the very last game of a Chinese team at the 2017 World Championships. And even if they win, they need to do it again to set themselves up in Beijing. And that's what the team said they wanted to go. Side selection has come in. Samsung Galaxy have picked blue side. So Jat, let's talk about some of the champions, the picks and bans. Now WE have to win on red sides.
Yeah, and they are so far removed from that game one victory, it's not even funny. They need to, A, have a big mentality bounce back, but if we're specifically looking at the picks and bans, do they have the confidence to go back to Jarvan Galio? Because if they were broken in that game and think there's no way they can pull off that combo, then they almost feel like out of options. Because you start going down the things that have been good for Samsung. You're like, well, the Varus has been good. Tarek's been real good. Cuba's been pretty good. Ambition's Grox has been really good. You do not have close to enough bans, so you need to be able to get your sweet spot champions and excel on them. And I think that could still be Galio Jarvan.
I think the manner of the Game 2 and Game 3 losses as well suggests maybe curveballs are needed from WE. The pick and bans have followed a pretty predictable cadence. By Game 3, we said, okay, Samsung have made their adjustments. They took the Shen priority in the second round. It shut down a lot of the playmaking defensively in the early game, and then opened up playmaking in the late game. So maybe you need to get a bit frisky. I don't know if Callista's being left open, but playing around with what's left open is important here.
Papa Smithy, 100% banned from groups and playoffs.
It's time. It's time to start rolling the dice, Trevor.
100% red side ban as well. But if you're looking for bans,
hey, you know what?
What up with it's not going to happen.
Let's see what happens, because we are jumping into picks and bans. That Janna dislodged all of the engage that Team WE put down with that Galio, Jarvan, Rumble combination in game number 2. And as we jump out the gate, Samsung Galaxy banned Lulu, Kog'Maw, and Xayah when they were blue side last time. And Papa Smithy's idea, as radical as it was, is thrown out the window.
Something radical in either picks and bans or in the level 1 like they managed to do in game 1 is so important to WE. The crowd want to burst out. They want to support their hometown faithfuls. Love the Janna ban here. That is a change from game 2. That was the first pick, so easily answering all the engage. So we'll not have first pick Janna for Samsung.
Yeah, and I think what could be really interesting right here is who can control the Tarek, because J has been so good on it, and if Rakan is down, it doesn't have as much value. The Gragas ban by Samsung is rather perplexing, but that's basically calling out a Sejuani ban.
Exactly. First pick Sejuani, if not banned. That seems to be what they're fishing for, and yep, it will just be the answering ban. Jarvan, Galio, both available. Very likely to be split up, and Samsung jumping on the Galio train.
But this does leave it open for Team WE to go Jarvan Tarek, as long as Ben is comfortable playing around that style.
Oh, we're about to find out, because the Jarvan is currently being hovered, and there's the Tarek as well. So let's assume those two get locked in. What is the next, phase? What do we start looking at? Because the AD carry pool is still very wide and very open as well.
You wonder if Samsung Galaxy gets in their heads a bit and just locks in Kog'Maw early here. It's the sort of thing that you can consider. It is, of course, the peel back comp with the Galio. Or if they get a bit more proactive, they can still return to the well for the 3rd time on the Varus. And speaking of the Kog'Maw, this will be a very early rotation comp from WE.
I am
not convinced.
Disappointed in the Kog'Maw pick right here, because it means they are giving Jarvan over to Ambition, whereas if they take the Jarvan, they have so many tools to pinch Ambition's champion pool with the Gragas and the Sejuani already banned. I feel like, especially since Ambition is the leader for the team, that would be such a bigger move. But with that being said, Team WE goes back to the well. Hey, they won a lot with Kog'Maw before. They really want the pick, and they're terrified of Samsung picking it away. I just don't think they would have. Ruler's been picking Varus as a priority pick the whole time.
Returning to the well, but with the Galio gone, with some of the support gone, the well is looking a little bit barren compared to what was a bit more fruitful in the quarterfinals. They will still get Jarvan. They still get the Jarvan, which is kind of amusing to see, but Ambition didn't really have comfort on. It's not a big Ambition pick, so I do wonder where he will go, because there could be further jungle bans here from Team WE.
Well, didn't Team WE ban Kha'Zix as well a little bit earlier?
This will be the time. This will be the time. See, earlier when Galio was unavailable to pair with the Kha'Zix, we were like, I don't know about the Kha'Zix, but the big Korean duo is Kha'Zix Galio, because you can jump in, get the Galio ult. The Kha'Zix first ban here makes a lot more sense than the last time we saw.
Yeah, also though, the Jace and the Gnar are unbanned, and those are two things that I feel like Team WE is rightfully terrified of Cube playing. The Gnar hard paired game, the Jace is pretty much unwinnable lane matchup for any of the picks that 957 would be able to bring out. And when you do use that one ban on the comfort pick, which Ambition was probably going to go for, you lose the ability to fully target out QB.
You do wonder if WE will first pick on the red side the Gnar and accept the Kennen matchup if it is what QB decides to take into it, like he has previously in the tournament. Only loss for Samsung this particular series was Kennen, but it is the standard matchup for QB.
I feel like they're put into a corner where they have to. It was not 957's pick during the regular season. He did pick it last game, and I'm wondering if Samsung missed a ban here or if there is a timeout on it. Nope, it is the Malzahar.
I just got confirmation from production. Visual bug with the timer. So they did manage to lock that in. It is the Malzahar. Allows us to jump back into the discussion of whether that Gnar comes in now or whether you see something for Shie that's fairly safe. The Talia is still open, but so is the Cassidon. Something that was very, very effective in game one this series.
Not really expected pick into the Galio, though, and many different approaches you can take into Galio. Lucian, a famous one from moons past. They're going to look at the Talia, try to make the map play. She had a good game on Talia in the past, but the thing about Talia, the reason why she's so highly prized is push and roam, push and roam. Galio is by far the prototype of the push and roam champion, and it's likely to be the mid lane matchup.
2 games played for Shie this tournament. He's gone unkilled. Ambition has locked in Lee Sin, and there's the Gnar that we expected.
This is a confidence pick. We saw the confidence pick, or at least the dice rolled yesterday, MLXG onto Lee Sin. Ambition has been playing Lee Sin as long as he has been around the game, even as a mid laner. His flex pick was Lee Sin in solo queue, so very experienced on it. And now 957 might find himself in this different kind of area where now he is actually on the pressure choice, the counter matchup, but that is not how he usually plays.
And maybe, like, this draft is not what I was expecting to see from Team W whatsoever. I thought the Gnar would be something they could play. 957 had a great game on it last week against Cloud9, but if 957 is like, you know what, Kennen actually beats Gnar, and QV is a really good Kennen, I can see the logic behind it, but these are picks and choices that Team WE had available to them in the previous 3 games in the series and didn't go for. So a shift in mindset, or maybe just pure desperation by TWE in this draft phase.
And of course, losing on your signature champions, your quintessential comp, maybe that's what pushes them to this angle, but I do like the synergy. Jarvan, Ken, and Tarek running forward with Talia and Cog on the back end. But man, it is going to be on a nice edge, because if they mess that up, the reply from Gnar, Lee Sin, and Galio, you can see the team compositions on your screen, and the engage that Rakan can put down, the instantaneous engage.
Yeah, you can lock up with the Rakan, and that often can beat the speed of the Tarek ultimate, especially with that as a delivery system for Galio. It's not quite Jarvan Galio, but it's still a pretty good combo.
We'll find out whether or not Team WE can force another game, can get silver scrapes on that world stream one more time. Because if they do not, they will be eliminated at the semi-final stage. Team WE have got everything to prove, because this team composition and playstyle and flavor is not something that we would have expected or anticipated. But when your back is against the wall, you've got no more room left to wiggle with. That's obviously where you can pull out those surprises.
This jungle pull targeted Ambition's Lee Sin is a fun one. Has not been played in a long time by Ambition. But I'm expecting him to be very proactive here. Proactive options for Samsung in every lane. Even though Kennen does answer very well in the laning phase to the Gnar, no reason that Lee Sin can't make a visit there, blow the flash on Kennen, just like we saw QV face in game 1. So a lot of playmaking open to Ambition. That tends to go one of 2 ways. It's not usually in the middle. It either really works out or it really does not.
Yeah, and even looking at some of the regional stats distributed at the World Championship so far, like the LCK teams have many more resources devoted to their top laners than any other region, and that could be mainly just due to the strength of the players up there. QV is a very good top laner. Longzhu came in playing around Khan. Huni as well is a player who can excel in that style, but that is what they are fully trending towards, especially with this team composition. You have the bot lane for Samsung, who are bringing a lot of engage, and then you have the Galio, who I'm actually expecting to cheat top lane more than cheat bottom lane as far as where the early roams and the early pressure is going to be, because if Cube gets so far ahead of 957 and starts creating that pressure, that prevents Team WE from being able to make good initiations happen.
A little bit of adjustment in the normal summoner spells. You'll notice that Rakan has taken Exhaust to try to answer the AP Cannon in particular when he comes into a team fight. So it isn't heal barrier bot side, which can mean that trading patterns that we're used to, where you have two defensive summoners on both the bot lane, can be a little bit different.
And of course, Ambition's always going to have the ability to kick him back once those team fights play out. We'll keep an eye on how effective it works out. Double relic shields for Mystic and Ben. Doran's shield, obviously, for Ruler's Varus. A little bit of a change from what we saw in the previous game. And now these two lane matchups, you can already see Mystic and Ben playing more defensive, playing more on the back foot, as the threat of this Varus Rakan is moving forward.
Yeah, it's a tough early lane phase for Ben and Mystic. They're going to have to withstand a lot of pressure early on. I mean, just the quick engage as well as the early level 2 is going to keep them shoved in. And then, if Crown opts to roam bottom, that dive threat of Galio, Lee Sin, even before 6 is still pretty scary.
Terrified of the double entrance. Hop up from Core JJ, knock down, knock up from Crown. Oh, the combination is terrifying. Ambition, we'll pretend we didn't see that one. You're up 2-1 in the semifinals.
He's getting his eye in, guys.
Getting an eye, that's it, that's it.
It's got to lock in on Lee Sin like they've locked in on Team WE. But what I want to see from Team WE, if they want to make sure that they stay at the World Championship, is they can't be scared of what Samsung is going to do. They have to be making their own plays. Already, though, Core JJ's roamed after the level 2. They're going for it.
All right, that's a flash taunt coming in from Crown. Flash away from Xie. He dodges the Sonic Wave, but Samsung are not yet done. Flash forward, flash in. That's a two-man knockup. Xie and Condi are in trouble. Condi's getting good damage down onto Ambition. The Resonating Strike connects. Winds of War tags. First blood picked up by Core JJ. Now Condi's forced to back out, and Samsung threw everything in the kitchen sink, but they got first blood.
And I love the fact that they saw double relic shield bot lane. We saw Mystic and Ben giving so much space, always moving back, giving so much respect to the bot lane. They said, why don't we rotate our engaged support through the mid? Joined Lee Sin, whose gank pressure with Jia naturally tending towards the top side would have been minimal, and just cement a really clean first blood for Samsung.
Yeah, Crown just gets the taunt. They know it's a heal to Leah. He blocks behind him that flash. Might have been Xie dying early, but this is one of those cases where Xie would have loved to have been able to path up. Probably should have actually pathed into the river so Cannon could have came to help, because Core JJ makes a super smart play and breaking the blast cone, where Ambition does what he couldn't do to the Scuttle Crab, lands the final Q on Xie, gets the kill.
Gentlemen, correlation or causation, I let you decide. The team that secured first blood went on to win the game in all 3 previous games this series. Let's see whether or not that remains true.
Correlation.
Good knock-up onto Ben as Core JJ finds that grand entrance. And Mystic and Ben, they at least push back that wave, but a few minutes of reprieve while Core JJ was not in lane.
And usually, when you see a support pick up first blood in a room like that, you wince a little bit, you say, okay, cool, would have gone better elsewhere. Remember, we still are in a game like this in an Ardent Sensor arms race, and being able to pick up the very early Nomad's Medallion, even if it's an extended laning phase, is going to be so much more income to the Rakan, and that's going to be a nice and early Ardent Sensor.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about strategy games and the economy match.
We had to talk about something. That was one-sided.
This is the late game investment already. It's the Ardent Sensor investment as well. I love No Man's Medallion early upgrade. I actually think a lot of teams should do it even when racing for Ardent Sensor, because it is so much better than the tier 1 support item. So Core JJ will be very rich when compared to Ben Lake.
Right, look at 957's HPs, but bullied by Cuvée for the last few minutes. While he's remained even on CS, there's support coming on both sides of the rift. This will be a 2v3 as 957 no access to that slicing maelstrom. Level 5s are coming in. Flash away, gets the stun down and the knock. 957 turns that around. Now into 2v2. The knockback from the seismic shove, and Shanghai erupts in noise. The Justice Punch is interrupted, and Coffee gets another one. Samsung lose 3.
Huge swing here for WE. Samsung thought they had complete run of the game, but WE read the situation so well. They were in position earlier, and they actually pick up 3 for 0.
And I love the fact that they don't wait for the dive, but instead flash away from the turret to kill Ambition before he can react. He's flashless. He flashes into proc the instant stun into the knockup, and he doesn't have time to react.
From there, Xie can come join, instantly kills Cuvée, who did not have Mega Nod timing to begin all of this. Level 6 being last kill onto Crown. That's the moment the crowd have been desperate for 2 games in a row.
And not just the crowd, Team WE has been desperate for that. Now they technically have a point of strength on the map that they can think about playing around. 957 picked up 2 kills. Ambition is now set beside Condi. So if they can get topside control, that's something with which they can force plays.
And man, Team WE needs something magical to pull this one around. Crushed in game 2, strangled out of game 3, and now they're in an advantageous position with a great mechanical outplay. But to be fair, WE were responding as well. They saw the dive coming and they had resources being allocated.
And they're obliging to what you mentioned, Jack. They're playing around their strong side, which is the top side of the map. And it's going back on Ambition.
Fight. Ambitious Lee Sin gets the hero's entrance as Condi's forced to flash for his life. The wall, I think, interrupted the justice, but Chie gets another kill. Look at the volume.
Ours there, Kennan's chasing.
Looking for some unworked ground. Gets off a couple of shots.
Watch for CoreJJ.
Doesn't find a target. CoreJJ gets the knockout. Limited escape. Condi survives. Condi lives. And WE get another.
Momentum is in Team WE's favor right there. The narrow escape from Condi, infusing them with more confidence to continue to go for plays. The timing of his EQ as well, as CoreJJ had roamed up to try and get that kill. That pressure that should be getting built in the bottom lane isn't necessarily paying off in the way, and here's the start once again.
So Ambition tries to re-invade to his weak side because he has the hero's entrance. No interrupt comes. Watch the Weaver's wall here. He looks for an interrupt, misses it on Gia. He would not have been in range to kill off Ambition as fast. They were going to have their support react first. Samsung react first and they lose out in the maximum way.
Oh, we're not going to see the magical outplay because it's tower dive time. Slicing Maelstrom into the knockup with that. Done for the kill. Condi sends his regards. Ambition's looking for one back, but they support. Chie's come out. Let's go for another tower dive, boys. Chie's got the backup of Condi. Not going to be enough. Ambition gets one back at WE. They've bitten off more than they can chew. Crown now making his way to the top lane as Ambition's looking for the Sonic Wave. He's got Dragon's Rage available to him. And the full combo could have burst down a kill. As we jump down bottom, the fights continue. Mystic has been burst down low. It was in a 2v1. The chain of corruption was used from Ruler, but WE maintained control, 2,000 gold leads.
Trying to keep that bottom lane equal as well, but so much of this action has just revolved around the top side. And whether or not Ambition is going to perform on this Lee Sin, the fact that he did turn around that dive at least keeps him in the game a little bit, because the snowball almost felt like it would be in full effect for Team WE after the end of that play.
And while the Lee Sin has emboldened Ambition to make proactive plays, it's meant the game has been so much more bloody than our previous game. 7 kills in the first 7 minutes or so, and that has largely been trading down for Samsung. They had the good start, but from there, the turret dive went amiss. The blue buff play also did not go to their advantage, and from here, WE have that instant gold, and we've always said this team revolves around getting gold early and playing towards the team fights. They were strangled out of gold in the previous game. This time, very difficult for Samsung to do that again.
Just amazing to see how the game has been played in the entirety of the top half of the map. CoreJJ joining in so many of those skirmishes, but it's Team WE that have come out in the advantageous position. 2-0-2 for 957, 2-1-3 for Condi. Now we see them lead the way, right? With that cannon, with that Jarvan on the front foot, and then once Ben starts getting joins the fights, he can bring that utility of the Cosmic Radiance.
Yeah, still a very interesting game here. Cubase itemized into the Spectre's Cal. It's going to be harder for 957 to actually kill him. No turrets have yet died. Currently, though, pretty strong, obviously, on the cannon. That's why he picked into this matchup, but Team WE still has to continue executing these plays if they want to win this one.
Yeah, Cannon to Nar is a good matchup. 2-0-2 Cannon into 0-2 Nar is a pretty fantastic matchup, so can only go into the Spectre's Cal and farm max range from Q. Means that WE can do whatever they want topside. That's going to be surrendered by Samsung Galaxy, but Samsung on the bot side trying to get something.
All right, Cosmic Radiance has been thrown down by Ben. This will keep him alive, but how much longer is the question? Flash comes up from Mystic. Taunt Flash comes down from Crown, and Ruler will secure the kill, but it's at the cost of Ambition and maybe an Infernal Drake. At this point in time, we've equaled the number of kills of the previous 39 minutes.
Yeah, that was not Ambition's best look right there. And for as organized as Samsung looked in Game 3, that was complete disorganization. Ambition stayed on Infernal Drake, Crown walked past him, a full fight happens bottom lane, and then Team WE just runs into him because, of course, they're going to collapse down on that bot lane fight and find you. So we're going to watch the start of this again. Ben and Mystic definitely getting aggressive, and Samsung do pull off the fight.
Yeah, Ambition could have pulled off Drake at any point during this. Just
get off Drake.
Get a second kill Ben. But Ambition stays too long, doesn't even try to rush down, knew he couldn't, and gets dunked by Condi. So a kill against the run of play after Samsung had prepped the bot lane play so cleanly.
And it completely wastes the Galio pressure because they get one kill, but they still lose their jungler, they still lose the Infernal Drake, and they also didn't get any turret damage. So Team W is going to be very happy with the outcome of that entire play.
Chaos is so exciting as now Ben and Mystic are shoving this wave down. Teleport is available for 957. It is also for QV and Crowns. I'm looking at the summoner spells. First item pickup starting to trickle in, gentlemen. The Ardent Sensor is completed for Ben already. Of course, he didn't go for that tier 2 upgrade. That's obviously going to speed it up.
Yeah.
But now we need to see whether or not WE can control the chaos, because it has felt fast and loose. And sometimes that can trip you up just as much as you can catch your opponent off guard.
Yeah, and it's for Team WE getting the counter ganks when the Galio does go in, but also being able to force their own fights. The Jarvan Taric looks so good when ahead and really poor from behind. So the fact that they are ahead in this game and can then also jump in with the cannon gives them a lot of tools to work with.
It was so close to Rage Blade and then inevitably a Hurricane, Cosmic Radiance, the item time is coming at the right time. We saw Ambition playing around bot side because they are in an Ardent Sensor deficit, so natural trades will likely go the way of WE with all the sustain coming through from that item. Only rotates around the mid side as well. They want to find time for Rakan to back. He does so now to pick up the Ardent Sensor. They now are outnumbered.
And it's still insanely hard for Team WE to pressure Galio whatsoever. Crown's got that adaptive helm, so that's why they're trying to go elsewhere. Talia's here, Terra called up, they might want to go.
All right, Seismic Shove didn't find any targets, but the Cosmic Radiance and Teleport was blown. 957 with the instant teleport down. Now where's the engage? Core JJ can look for the flash.
Oh, he's in.
The quickness, the 3-man knockup into the hero's entrance. Look at the knockup and the damage down. 957 though with the slicing maelstrom is doing what he can to turn it around. It's too little, it's too late, and he's down. Crown gets another. Ruler got the first, and Ben will get hyper killed by QV's Gnar.
All the threats separated there for WE. They could not consolidate their power. Cosmic Radiance used early for a dive. Samsung were already going to move backside because they didn't have Rakan there. They knew they were outnumbered. The re-engage from Samsung, though, was sick.
And Core JJ has played so well this series on his Taric play, but also in finding that initiation, avoiding the first initiation by Team WE, so critical. And then, as you mentioned, the beautiful turn with the Rakan and Galio. It's exactly what Samsung needed to get back in this game.
See the replay coming here. Ambition lying in wait. Wants to try to negate the Ardent Sensor, and this was already with the recall. Rakan's not here. You see the ult. Ambition's not going to actually take the Q in. He knows about the outnumbered. Means the cannon teleport doesn't lead to anything just yet. But wait for the turn from Core JJ when the teleport comes in.
Yeah, and we see this beautiful move by Core JJ. Crown as well teleports in so he can be in range for the wombo combo, still gets the knockup, and then Gnar is there at the right time.
I mean, Condi has everything up, but he's stuck just fending with Ambition topside. With Zia, they chase on to Ben. There's a kill there as well. 3 kills earlier was a big moment for WE. 3 clean kills here for Samsung, big for them too.
And as much as we compliment Samsung and Core JJ for making that play, we have to criticize Team WE for their indecisiveness. If they're going to use the Taric ultimate that early and not dive, you must back away from the turret. And also, if you're not going to complete the dive, don't even complete 957's teleport in the first place and disengage. But they failed on both of those accounts, and they allowed Samsung to then make that big play.
And that's the equalizer. Even more than the equalizer, Samsung take the lead in the goal. They're going to steal away this blue sentinel. They got themselves that bottom tower. And of course, they're going to continue applying pressure. Rage Blade completed now for both AD carries. And what was looking like such an exciting start for Team WE has now reset the state of the game and set us up for actually even more exciting team fights as we look at this mid-game phase.
Yeah, and Adaptive Helm is so insanely efficient against this team composition. Not only is it negating the magic damage from Cogmox, Leah and Kennen as well, both magic damage dealers who deal very similar types of damage, so the reduction there, beautiful. Also got to point out, Warrior from Condi, trying to counter that Adaptive Helm a little bit and still be a damage threat, but Leah Wall can't find its mark.
For a bit of playmaking there, doesn't find anyone, so just will be instantly cancelled from the Talia. I feel like there will be a point when you have Adaptive Helm, get the first damage item, maybe even just the Frozen Mallet for Gnar. And I think standing trades will likely go the way of the Gnar as the laning phase goes on. So the early phase certainly very hairy one for the Gnar, but it gets better, especially with the Magic Resist already.
Yeah, there was a little bit of help from Condi, using that Unraveled Earth to try and wave clear as best as he can, but Ruler got a bunch of auto attacks down. Already starting to hammer away, got the support of the rest of Samsung and Ambitions on the Rift Herald.
He's actually spotted, I believe, by the control ward, certainly pathing towards Rift Herald, so Condi's here.
Now try and steal.
I don't know if they will be able to. He's going to get picked up. Very good channel there on the flag and drag from Condi, setting ourselves up for another fight. But the buff was picked up by Ambition.
Yeah, Samsung got the objective, so no need to keep fighting. They will just move away from there. Seems like Crown's on a recall as well.
WE does have some pressure they can play around right now. They're going to get the push in the mid lane, and they can move down for the Cloud Drake if they want to, knowing that the recalls have happened, but instead they're opting to try and get topside control.
Yeah, traditional WE would look for the turrets, look for the instant goal, get closer to 2 items onto Mystic, so the deprioritization of Drake, they've shown the entire tournament continues, and Cube once again seems aware of this.
Temporarily flashless.
Oh, nice sidestep on that seismic shove, so didn't get caught out. Tower will take some good damage, will likely fall here. Now we start looking at Mystic. Currently on about 1,000 gold, will jump up a couple hundred after this tower push. And how much stock do you put in Mystic's Cogmore? He's 6-1 at Worlds. It's the Team WE carry the tip of the spear in many of their games. And he's going to get called upon again as we head past the 20-minute mark very, very shortly.
He's been real good on it. It's also a fairly difficult situation for him to succeed in with the Recombo coming in with the heroic entrance onto all of the different tools Samsung can throw in for the dive. So, as we mentioned in the draft phase, just an insane prioritization on it, picking it that early when Ruler didn't even really show that much interest in picking it. But there's also the fact he's behind in the game, right? He has the Rage Blade, so when he hits his items, he will be a threat. He's just not there yet.
The Cosmic Radiance usage, is it going to be on the frontline divers or is it going to be saved? Try to help the Kog'Maw get through that part, I don't know. As in the note here about the jungle proximity, Shia going to be very close to his jungle for the most of this game, trying to look for those plays, and certainly was invited to after that big play topside. As Ambition actually lets the Rift Herald visit the Raptor camp for once.
Yeah, there's a chance that that was a potential trinket usage fail, but they're also getting really good usage out of it. Strategically, it pushes them back mid lane and opens up room for the Cloud Drake, so we'll give that one a good grade.
Nicely done. Well done, Ambition. Samsung Galaxy pick up their first dragon of this particular game. They're up to, a few hundred gold. And we're even on towers. Okay, we're opening up the map now. 4 towers down, a dragon apiece, even on kills, even on gold. And it's starting to feel like vision is going to become more and more important. And it looks to me like Samsung have got the better end of the deal. Slightly deeper wards, but not by much.
And when it comes to playing out against this comp, because although there is that creeping feeling that Samsung can cement their position on the game, it's not there yet. It's still going to take multiple steps for them to recreate anything like the previous games. You have to remember that WE have a teleport flanker, and teleport flanks have become more and more uncommon in this current meta with the very extended team fights. So actually, always cementing those control wards on the side as they push forward, as they try to quest some of these inner turrets, is so important for Samsung. And given you don't have as much recent experience being focused on dealing with, say, a teleport AP cannon, there is always the chance you trip up on the execution.
And as far as flanks are concerned, though, 957 doesn't have any. The vision in the river is just completely controlled by Samsung. The best flank ward was just cleared, we saw on screen by Core JJ with that last sweeper. So also getting stuff from inside the Baron Pit, like Team WE's flying blind right now. They couldn't get a split push advantage off of 957's early kills on a cannon, and now they're stuck playing defense.
Yeah, and the observers, of course, just highlighting the other vision from Team WE and the difficulties that they're currently facing at this stage of the game. Samsung is just using that vision to steal away objectives. They've got another blue buff under their control. Team WE, I guess they're going to be okay being even. Remember, they've got this team comp that wants to be playing forward. We've seen the Taric when ahead and playing aggressive is completely different to Taric playing defensive trying to use that Cosmic Radiance when you can't time it as effectively.
And a playstyle like this, where you play the map so aggressively, can be undone by the perfect teleport flank. But the other side of the coin is, you mess up the teleport flank, Baron is gone, an inhibitor is gone, you get one chance, you get one shot. And that is really where it is right here for WE. They will get some wards down. Will they be in the ideal position? No. Will some of them be swept? Yes. But it'll be all on one teamfight execution, because if they fail it, they will lose the maximum.
One opportunity to go. That's what Team WE are looking for. Black Cleaver to go with the Warrior, along with Condi. So he's going to get killed like a piece of paper once he jumps into these team fights. But if he gets the Cataclysm down, if he sets it up and locks Ruler in, when Ruler doesn't have flash, that could be the game changer.
That's wants to kill Ruler. They want, if they can get a flank, right? It's all about like, where's that one ward that can get into a deep spot? They have one of them right now. And if they can get the flash burned on the first ultimate, then the second ultimate can catch them. But like Team WE is in a really difficult spot, as we mentioned, with the potential elimination from Worlds after one missed move, and then also the fact that they missed the move down on the bottom lane, which can add to the hesitation in this game.
And this feels like this series has been a lot of wombo combo comps from W. A lot of Jarvan X, Jarvan Cannon in this game. They've had other Jarvan duos. You completely understand how they can play, but the reliability of those comps starts to go away as they want to pick here.
They do indeed. It's going to at least get the Galio ultimate. That's a small victory. As Crown uses that Justice Punch defensively. So it's a small win in favor of WE.
All right, Galio ult is down. Team WE has Taric. They can't win the split push against the Gnar because Kennen can no longer kill that Gnar. This is where they have to get really aggressive. I would like to see Team WE actually force around Baron now that the Scuttle Crab is dead.
One of those things where, will it be a clean Baron? No, but we're forcing around Baron now. Will it be the best timing with the Hero's entrance up? Perhaps, as Cuvée and 957 a lot more even. They're looking to actually kill Cuvée.
All right, threaded volley, not going to find any shots. A little hop over the minions. Cuvée is just taking 957 and Shie on a run through the rift. Summoner Heal was used as well, so not going to find their targets. And just to go back to setting up for Baron, setting up for a fight, Mystic's got himself that Hurricane, so the 2-item spike is fully activated.
Yeah, they also lost the heal from Shie because he was trying to chase after Cuvée, so that is not the confident type of decisive play you would want to see out of Team WE when they have so many of these initiation tools, and now they're trying to regain Baron control, but the bottom lane is falling off.
Teleport.
Maybe this is it.
We're going to find out. Slicing Maelstrom is available for 957. The flash engage coming down from Condi. Instant kick away from 957. And not a single flash blown on the side of Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, Hero's entrance also coming back up, but now they've run themselves out of options. Gnar split push is there. Teleport is down. Team W got nothing for that.
Yeah, the vision toggle didn't show up, but the Q from Ambition would have hit Kennen if he went in a straight line. Had to back away. Dodge it wasn't there fast enough. Gnar gets a free turret here. They lose some control wards on Baron, but they get the big objective to Samsung Galaxy.
Man, it's now 4 towers to 2. It's a 2,000 gold lead. The 2-item power spikes for pretty much everybody is in place, but Samsung Galaxy are using the vision and their ability to play the map significantly better. They've started Baron.
And it's going to be incredibly difficult for Team W to stop this. Condi is flash, they have no vision inside. He could go for a steal, though. That's up in the air if Samsung stays on this.
Condi's done it before, but look at the flash taunt interrupted, secured by Ruler. Samsung peel away. Now Team WE trying to find the fight if they can. Crown is down. 957 flashes forward. Brutal bells to go in. Won't find a big stun, though. And the rest of WE cannot close the distance. 957 cover too many screens. Flash for flash, and the Weaver's Wall will slow down Cuvée. I think he's going to have Hop available fairly soon. Going back and forth on the autos. Mega Gnar's about to pop, but he crunches down over the wall. WE get a kill, but they lose Baron.
And Samsung is so good at this 4-1 split push game that forces the other team into decision making. After all these events, they get the vision control on this, and yes, Condi could steal. They see the standard, and Crown knows when he can get the taunt off. The Varusol hits at the same time. There is no chance for Condi to get inside that pit.
And it was necessary because Ambition did miss the smite. Didn't matter because his team had done the right move, interrupted the enemy smite, so Roller able to pick it up from there. Crown gives up his life, but maybe he didn't need to go so aggressive, but I guess there was no way out when he went to interrupt with the AoE taunt. They get out 4 members with the Baron. Still a success for Samsung Galaxy.
And where does that leave us in the state of the game? Samsung, we're already winning the map play. We're already running circles around Team WE. And now they've got Baron-empowered minions to do it even more. I mean, Cuvée almost having the audacity to threaten some sort of Mega Gnar engage towards the end. He's just playing so confidently on this Gnar, he can take over even further.
Yeah, the split push is a cyclical thing that comes up in the meta sometimes when we're thinking about how the game actually develops. I feel like the Worlds patch has been super interesting in that way. We started off with all this like hard Righteous Glory engage, tank line, super late game team fights. Then we saw a lot of early game tempo start to be the name of the game with the Caitlyn. That also adapted with people getting better at neutralizing those laning phases because it became a bit of a lane push meta. But if you want a 5v5 team fight, the team that can consistently stifle your engage by keeping split push pressure can stop the team fighting teams. What was pushing it out of the meta, in my opinion, was the prevalence of like Righteous Glory engaged tanks. So it is interesting how there's no Righteous Glory tanks on this Team WE team, but also that they're just not as practiced of needing to play against this. This used to be an incredibly common style to play against. Samsung clearly super practiced at it, and now both SKT and SumSam may be on their way to the World Finals, mastering this way of playing the game.
Yeah, especially when Xie is unable to lock anybody in or find that seismic shove. They can't counter the playstyle, and individually right now, they are not finding the fights or the opportunities.
And on the world stage, at the semifinals, the pressure is so high. You say the way a team plays between scrims and stage is different. It changes to the semifinals as well, and 4-1 split push forces you into decision-making, and if you have any level of hesitation or passivity against it, you lose. And Samsung are the ones making the crisp and clear decisions.
And they're pulling them off near flawlessly. 28 minutes, they've used that Baron to already break open the middle inhibitor. Bottom lane is being shoved in by Crown. He's going to be in range for that Hero's entrance. Team W are on their last legs, their last opportunities to team fight their way out of this trouble. But it is just so difficult. Condi, going to think about this Cataclysm, puts it down, but that's not going to interrupt the Hero's entrance, and that is just a mistake that you cannot afford when you are this far down into your base.
That was actually pretty funny, because Ambition had ward upped away, so it looked like he was jumping to no one, but Ambition previously was there on Lee Sin. There just is no easy fight. It feels like 3 games in a row. We've been at the point where W like, all right, we got our items, we're ready to go, this is our time, it's past 20 minutes, and yet Samsung keep running around the map, and I think Gnar has been the real story of the semifinals, because we knew that Jason Trundle, when we were talking about Huni, who was very much similar in style to what Cuvée is showing in this series. And you think about what that brings, tank buster, but also, crucially, does turret damage, has turret threat. Do you gank him and actually lose out on other parts of the map, or do you let him take your turret? And given that Gnar has straddled the line so well, and Huni and Cuvée have both shown it, you wonder what the next level is, because there's certainly picks into the Gnar. I'm sure people already are praying for the Yasuo in the World Final. Who knows what could happen? But there's so much inching forward. We started with Cho'Gath Maokai. We've had the true carries. Now we're getting the hybrids between the two. And we still don't know where this hype train ends.
We're going to find out, Papa Smithy. But before then, Samsung Galaxy need to close the line, cross over this final nexus, and re-qualify for a World Championship final. I mean, that Baron timed out, just for what it's worth. They've secured 4 Barons against Team WE this series alone. And Team WE had only conceded a total 4 Barons in the previous stages of the tournament. It's just been such a great performance from Samsung Galaxy.
Do you know the double void stuff is complete for WE, and only a single locker on the much squishier 4JJ is complete on the side of Samsung. So good exhaust use, and also opting out of the big damage from the Wombo here is important for Samsung.
Yeah, but Samsung is also just never grouping up for which the Wombo could happen. So if you pull it off on one side, you're losing a turret on the other, and they've just never been able to match those answers, aside from game 1, when they had the cash and Shen, and they could pick off the split pushers, but not in control of this game whatsoever at this point.
All right, where are Team WE? Justice Punch interrupts Crown all the way out of the base? That was insane. That's not an interaction you see very frequently. Cuvé's Mega Gnar, by the way, timed out, and he's currently looking to get angry once more. That passive bar not available to stack just yet. The inhibitor has fallen. WE still have not pulled the trigger. It's a 6,000 gold deficit. They need to find something perfect, and they've got to get through Ruler's flash as well as his heal. Mystic's flash is now down after CoreJJ trades it for a flash quickness engage. Crown charges up the Duran shield, doesn't fire the trigger. Cube's about to get excited. Here comes 957 from behind. That's a dunk down. The Cosmic Radiance is buying some time. Ruler flashes and heals to safety. He gets one. Lenore into the wall. Triple kill. Picked up for Ruler. Ben's flashed away to safety. Now she is the target. Ruler not gonna find the quadra kill as Crown takes him down. And Shanghai is silenced. Samsung are setting their sights onto the Nexus turrets. Ben is running for his life. Ambition will not be able to take him down. And Samsung Galaxy set their sights on the Summoners Cup. They take down Team WE and qualify for a rematch with SK Telecom in the Championship Finals.
Clinical is the word, Jack. Clinical is the word to describe Samsung Galaxy. After the Game 1 missteps from level 1, from there they were able to play methodical. From there they denied all the wombo engage that WE kept opting into. They do book that rematch with SK Telecom T1. Same roster expected to start, as we have not seen Haru outside of a single game. But kind of the amusing thing for me to take away is that we come into a world final with SK Telecom, and yet the cold, calculating, adaptive team is not SK Telecom. It's Samsung Galaxy.
Yeah, you ask me who played better during the bracket stage of this tournament between SKT and Samsung, and I think the answer is Samsung as far as the way they clinically destroy their opponents. You can talk about strength of schedule. There will be tons of analysis done figuring out who will be favored between SKT and Samsung, but this team has adapted so well, and they do it in such a destructively slow way. It feels bad for the enemy team, but you saw what happened when Team WE made the decision and tried to engage on Samsung. They got eliminated from Worlds.
Strength of schedule and their rookie tendencies last year were valid criticisms. This year, Longzhu into Team WE was a robust schedule for them to have to bust through. The tournament favorites and Team WE in form finally 5 years after their last appearance at Worlds. Those same queries, the extra experience for CoreJJ, who role swapped into support in the regional qualifier last year, that late into the year.
Yeah.
Ruler, who was a true rookie. Those queries are gone. There was some hiccups in group stage, but Samsung are a fearsome team based on the knockout stage.
They're adapting well, they're preparing well, they're winning in less games, and that means they're going to be in the final. It's that rematch we've never seen before. Team WE, their tournament comes to an end, and it is a disappointing end for the last remaining LPL squad. To break down how Samsung Galaxy knocked Team WE out of the tournament and how Samsung got to Beijing, let's head it up to Dash and the analysts.
Thank you very much. Quick shot. And gentlemen, for the first time in League of Legends history, we are going to get a rematch in the World Finals. SK Telecom T1 versus Samsung Galaxy.
And I think the crazy thing about it is, for the first time, SKT will be going into the finals as likely the underdogs to many people. Samsung has looked so strong. You know, last year, everyone had them written off. This year, they're going to come in favorites.
And they've done it with the same roster in back-to-back Worlds. Not even SK Telecom has done that. They've at least had a change every single time. But let's look at how they crafted this third victory in the fourth game to push themselves to that finals berth.
It was honestly a lot like Game 3 as well, where it felt like WE couldn't really get big advantages in the mid to late game. Early on, though, there were some differences, which I think were actually